Alright folks, many of you have probably seen my videos by now, and are probably tired of hearing of me, but I have some new evidence about UFOs that will blow everybody's mind. We all know that for 50 years, Western governments have been obtaining information about UFOs. This is fact number two. That's fact number one. Fact number two is, so did their counterparts behind the Iron Curtain. I know that for a fact. And most of this stuff you can look up is very widely publicized information now in today's era of YouTube and Facebook and Twitter. And most of this stuff you can see today on the internet. In fact, it's a literal fact that most of this stuff that the Soviet Union had and all Eastern Bloc countries has now been on UFOs has now been declassified. And it is a fact that shortly after the post-Riker, which is the fall of communism in Russia, and shortly before Boris Yeltsin took power, which was exactly 1990, the Russians began to declassify most of their, the Soviet Ministry of Defense began to declassify most of its information on UFOs. So much that the Americans got their hands on most of this information. And I know for a fact that the Tunguska event of 1908 was definitely not a meteorite like Tsar Nicholas II initially had the world believe, because that was about the last 10 years of the Russian monarchy. So it was when Tsar Nicholas II was still in power, and make no mistake, Tsar Nicholas II himself knew that the Tunguska event was not a meteorite, but he insisted it was a meteorite. But the research suggests the Tunguska event was not a meteorite like Tsar Nicholas II originally had the world believe. And so, to tell you the truth, I may never really know what came down near Tunguska all those years ago, but I know whatever it was definitely not a meteorite, and it was definitely not a comet, because if it would have been a meteorite or a comet, there would have been a crater, and there was no crater at Tunguska. So that has led me to conclude that the so-called Tunguska fireball was not a UFO, was not a meteorite, but an extraterrestrial spacecraft of some kind that disintegrated upon entering the Earth's atmosphere. I mean, how else do you expect me to explain the Tunguska event? It was not a meteorite and it was not a comet. So all I can say is that technically Tsar Nicholas II lied to all the Western governments about Tunguska. Tsar Nicholas II basically insisted that the Tunguska event was a meteorite, but there's no evidence it was a meteorite. Whatever it was definitely a UFO. Make no mistake, the Tunguska event was a UFO crash. So then, throughout the years, various governments around the world have been collecting, at least for the past 30 years, various governments around the world have been collecting information on UFOs. The United States, Great Britain, and the former Soviet Union in particular. So I have very substantial information that whatever came down near Tunguska in 1908 was not a UFO. In fact, Russia itself, the country of Russia itself, has had many well-documented UFO sightings over the years that date back literally thousands of years, and even date all the way through the time of the imperial Russian monarchy. For instance, in the 10th century, there was a report in the 10th century about right after the formation of the Russian monarchy, where several Arab travelers from the nearby Ottoman Empire saw what appeared to be a number of very mysterious objects in the sky. So I know it sounds hard to believe, but this stuff is true, folks. And this stuff has been well documented in many cases around the world, dating back as far as, the earliest reported UFO sightings. There is the first actual recorded UFO sighting was in 329 BC. And that was that was thousands of years ago, but ever since then, there have been many UFO sightings since then. And various governments around the world have covered it up ever since. For instance, I know for a fact that the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah, for instance, was not fire raining down from the sky, but in fact may have been the ancient explosion of perhaps a thermonuclear weapon, as mentioned by discoveries of sand of the supposed location of Sodom and Gomorrah that was later believed to have turned into glass, which is the obvious indication that whatever destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah was definitely not the result of fire and brimstone raining down from the skies, but from definitely some kind of ancient nuclear explosion of some kind. And I saw this on Ancient Aliens one time. So I definitely have evidence that UFOs have been visiting Earth for thousands of years, and that even during the communist era in Russia, the Soviet Union was gathering intel on UFOs. So that's all for now, folks. Hopefully see you in my next video. So I'm gonna sign off for now, and I'll see you in my next video. All right, bye bye.